Hey guys, Ultimate Toy Collector here with David Silva, and we're going to talk about the Kickstarter for the Beast of the Mesozoic. Um, there's three figures initially shown, and as it goes on, you're going to have stretch goals. I'm not really going to talk much about it. I'm going to let David talk about it. But first, we're going to give a little background about him. All right, I've known him for a little while, and I'm amazed by a lot of his work. Dave, can you just give us a quick rundown of where you're at now and some of the other companies that you may have worked with prior to create your experiences, which have led you to where you're at now?
Sure. Well, I started off designing toys for McFarlane back in 2003, and that led to me sculpting for them. And I worked on a lot of the dragons and a lot of the creature stuff. That was my main thing there. The dragons were my favorite part, working at McFarlane. There was also some Spawn figures. After that, I went to Hasbro and worked on things like Star Wars, Jabba the Hutt, the Dewback. There was some Jurassic Park figures I worked on. And then after I left there, I went to NECA, and that's where I am currently. And I work on a lot of the Pacific Rim stuff, Predator, and Godzilla stuff mainly. So, I'm mainly try to get my hands on the creature stuff because that's really what I enjoy. But in addition to all that, I've also been doing my model kits on the side as Creative Beast Studio, and that started back in 2009. So I'm always finding a way to sculpt creatures.
And when you talk about creatures, what's some of your favorite like influences when you're working? What do you think about like I know you've worked on like you said a lot of the Pacific Rim stuff.
Hmm.
Have you worked on a lot of the Godzilla stuff at NECA?
Yeah. I started off working on the 94 Godzilla, and then after that, it was the 54 Godzilla, and the most recent one was the 2001 Godzilla.
And you talked about the model kits,
Right.
which uh, have already been established prior to the Kickstarter. What's Can you give us a little background about the model kits? Are they smaller? Are they larger? A little mixture of everything?
I would say they're about small to medium-sized model kits, and they range in different scales depending on the animal. They're mostly dinosaurs. There's a few other prehistoric animals involved, and even some dragons and a female warrior. So there isn't really a set plan for me as far as Creative Beast Studio goes. I kind of make what I want to see. So if there's something if there's an animal, a dinosaur mainly that I don't feel like has been represented the way I want to see it, I'll make it. And in the process of making myself happy, turns out that a lot of other people end up liking it too. So
Have the same interests
yeah,
as
so
you.
that works out pretty well. Yeah.
Now, the Velociraptors, and we kind of talked about this on the side. When people think about Velociraptors, a lot of times they're thinking Jurassic Park style, and some of like the stiffer statue-esque figures that you might find in Michaels or some of the craft stores,
Right.
where they're smaller. Some are smaller scale, some are larger scale, but they're going for 20, 30, 40, $50, and they have no articulation.
Right.
What are you bringing to the table with the Beast that we could expect that's different from Jurassic Park?
Well, one of the main points of Beasts of the Mesozoic was that I wanted to bring scientifically accurate dinosaurs to a bigger audience. Right now, it's relegated to these cheaper dinosaur toys that a lot of people don't know about, and if you do know about them, there's a lot of room for improvement. So what I wanted to do was kind of stay away from the Hollywoodized dinosaurs. As much as I like them, and a lot of us do, it's not what was really there. And I think it's really exciting to have toys of the animals that are actually, they were actually on the same planet as us at one point. So you see these creatures and you're like, wow, that actually existed. I think there's something really exciting about that. And there's a lot of dinosaurs that people don't know about that are just as interesting or more interesting than the ones in the movies. So that's what I want to do, and I want to have like really good articulation and excellent packaging and great paint jobs. Like everything that I would want as a toy collector, I'm putting into these figures.
Then along the way, as you were designing the Kickstarter and everything, you've had your hand in every process along the way, right?
Right.
The artwork,
Mm-hmm.
the painting, the sculpting,
Mm-hmm. Right.
right? Now, with some of the stretch goals, I don't want to talk. I know we can't talk too much about it. We don't want to give everything away to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to want to reach that next goal so we can see what else he has. But can you give us a little hint of what we can expect as the Kickstarter goes along?
Sure. Well, today, as we film this, I just unveiled the first Kickstarter Raptor, which is Soranitholestes, and the next one I'll be unveiling probably pretty soon. Some people already know about it. If you look closely, it's not that hard to figure out. But some of the ones I have planned, I think a lot of people will be excited about. They're lesser known, but they're very unique and very interesting. And if everything goes well, we might end up with 11 Raptors by the time this is over.
And there really was 11 different Raptors.
There was more.
There was more.
Yeah.
If you do your background and your scientific work and you Google search or whatever you want to do, there were a lot of different type of Raptors.
Yeah, I mean it's not much different than like today.
A dog or a cat.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of different dogs the same size, a bunch of different like say you have your lions, but you also have your tigers and your jaguars and your cougars, so it's a similar type of thing where they were very similar but yet had a lot of differences depending on where they lived.
Different climates, different altitudes and stuff like that.
And that really shaped the way they looked, like anatomically even. And I want to explore how different these animals are while still being closely related.
Now, speaking about that, how each raptor kind of was built to match its climate or its environment, adapt to each environment. The backings on the package, will you have a little information about each specific raptor?
Right. Yeah. Each one will have a card that has some general stats. There's not a lot of information. There isn't a lot of room, but I wanted to have some information to introduce people to these animals, not just as a toy, but as something that we've discovered and now know about that may not normally reach people. And I just want to create a general interest more in this side of natural history, and just kind of celebrate how amazing it can be when a lot of people are only familiar with popular movie versions. I mean, this is really what it's all about.
And if this does well, which it seems like it will, because we're only 3.5 going on 4 days into the Kickstarter, you're already at 72,000.
Yes.
Your goal is 125.
That is the initial goal.
The initial goal.
Yeah, and
the
then
initial goal.
Every 10,000 after that will achieve a stretch goal.
So, couple days into it, he's already doing incredibly well. This project looks like it's gonna fly off the ground. I grew up loving dinosaurs. All right. I don't know all the scientific names, but I do. I had a bunch of them as a kid. I don't know if you remember Dino Riders.
Don't get me started.
Dino Riders. Now I know that these are totally different than Dino Riders.
I love Dino Riders.
But I had all the Dino Riders.
Uh,
So one thing that I would like to see, being that I am a collector of all types of toys.
You want to see lasers?
I would love to see one stretch goal is that we're gonna have a laser pack.
Laser pack, yeah.
And you're gonna have like a little head, a little helmet that's gonna attach to the head. That's
that
one of the
too.
stretch goals that I'm asking for.
See what I can do.
Will we see larger scale dinosaurs? Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Will we see any of those down, or actually I should say, would you like to see down the road, if this project does well, to continue it and do different, not so much different scales, but I guess different scales, but which would make them almost comparable, you know?
Right,
I'm lost for words, but you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying.
You want to have an idea of the scale.
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah, I have given it some thought, and there are obviously much larger dinosaurs than raptors. I mean, the raptors are some of the smaller ones, and you get up to 100 feet long in some cases. So, it really isn't reasonable to think that everything's going to be in 1/6 scale, obviously. So, let's say I do a series of Tyrannosaurs, and I'm sure I could get several figures out of that. I would do it maybe at 1/30th, 1/35th scale, because I want to keep things big enough for shelf presence, but at the same time keep the cost down so a wide audience can afford it. I don't want to just sell to people who have a ton of money because I'm only going to sell like 6. So I have to run that line between is it big enough to make an impact on your shelf, and is it affordable enough for everybody? So, in the case of a Tyrannosaur, I would say around 1/35th scale, which would put it, I'm just guessing, someone can correct me, but maybe around 12 inches or so, maybe 15. But at that point, what I would do is include a small non-articulated accessory of one of the other dinosaurs to show scale. For example, I could include a Velociraptor that's in scale with the T-Rex and base it on the Velociraptor that I'm putting out now, so that you still get a sense that it's the same world, but you also can't afford to buy it.
So it would be what we're seeing now, scaled down,
Right.
just statue.
Yeah, no
type.
articulation. It'd be way too small for that. But you would get a sense of scale by putting them together. So you get your scale, but you can still have a piece that you can afford and can display without taking up a lot of space.
And now for people that are asking, would you throw in a human, a caveman, a hunter or something? Would you stick to something that would have actually been in that period? Okay.
Yeah. This is Beast of the Mesozoic, so if it didn't exist in the Mesozoic, we're not going to put it in there.
Okay. So you won't see RoboCop or a Predator.
As much as I'd like to see that, yeah.
I would like to see a Predator, scaled down and then fighting them.
I would too, actually.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. They are hunters and they have trophy walls.
Let's see if I can work that into my other job.
All right. So, and also, you posted something about some artwork over the last day or two.
Yeah, Mark Schultz, who is an amazing illustrator. He's done a lot of comic illustrations. A lot of people know of him. He's been doing work for a long time, mainly known for Xenozoic Tales. He's a good friend of mine, and when I first told him about this idea last summer, he was like, I want to be a part of that. And he's one of the first people I told, and he wants to be on board with it. So he's contributing an amazing print of the first 5 Raptors done in his vision. And I had zero things that I wanted changed about this. Like I just wanted him to do his thing, and that's what he did. He did an amazing piece, and there's going to be limited sign prints of 100. So if you want that, you got to get on that. Um, yeah. So yeah, that was really cool.
And that'll be for purchase with the Kickstarter, not as a stretch goal or anything like that.
Yeah, that you if you only want the print, you can just get the print.
Okay.
If you want to put Raptors with it, that's great.
It looks like an awesome print from what I saw when I was looking through your page.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely, truly
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
is awesome for anybody that likes to have those images there, or is just a fan of art. It's definitely something I would recommend. You purchase them, and like you said, it's 100 pieces, right?
Yeah, there's going to be 100 of them.
100 signed limited pieces.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Articulation, real quick. I know we're going to take a look at these and just see the detail and everything on it. Articulation, 26 points of articulation, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. And the accessories that are going to come with it. What will there be accessories, or what are the accessories?
Each one will have a base, and I designed a posing rod that will help the figure achieve a variety of dynamic poses with the hinged ball that plugs into the base, and then an additional piece that will cradle the figure, and that is also on a ball, so you can move it around in a variety of ways, and you can have like all these crazy off-balance poses, and it really helped with the way you can pose these figures, because if we're going to do scientifically accurate raptors, they really had small footprints, so standing them up without any sort of aid is probably going to be a bit front heavy. You might be able to pull it off, it's not really designed for that. But I think this posing rod will really make it a lot of fun to put them in different poses and achieve a lot of different scenes. And in addition to that, also included will be interchangeable toes. There'll be running toes and standing toes. So if you want to have one foot up in the air behind it, you'd have the closed toes, and if you want to have it down on the ground, you'd have the open toes.
Now the standing rod. Will it will it plug into the chest, or will it wrap around the chest?
It'll wrap around the chest. One of the things that I didn't want was to have any types of holes or plugs in the figure. So it's made to just cradle the figure, and that way you don't have any kind of off-putting, holes or anything.
You said that it'll come with separate toes. It'll have like alternate feet.
Right. Yeah.
Will it just be one set of alternate feet, and will there be any alternate hands or claws for it, like an open hand or open claw, talon?
No, there's no plans for any interchangeable hands, and that it kind of gets complicated because the primary wings are attached to the hands. So changing those out, I think wouldn't really be cost effective. And with all the poses you can get with the arm movement, I don't think it'll be too necessary.
And just for anybody who hasn't looked on the Kickstarter or looked at the page, can you give us a quick breakdown of if you're purchasing the figure? Can you do it separately? Do you do it as the three Raptors all together? Just give us a breakdown of that.
You can buy the Raptors individually if you just want one. I also sell the Raptor pack, which is all three together, and if you want multiples of a particular one, you can do that too. I have it set up that you can pledge for a 3-pack of any of the 3 Raptors. I'm planning on adding 2-packs as well very soon. And for people that want to buy in bulk, you can also order a set of 2 Raptor packs or a set of 3 Raptor packs, and that way you can save on shipping if you want to partner up with somebody. If one of your friends wants some, you guys can save on shipping. So buy a bigger pack.
Okay. I think that that pretty much answers everything, all the questions I had. So let's take a quick look at our Raptors that you have here, and then like you said, you guys are gonna have to stay tuned throughout the Kickstarter. If everything goes as planned, we will have stretch goals. We'll have more stuff to show you, and if these look awesome, I can only imagine. So let's take a look.
All right.
All right, so here's our 3 scientifically accurate Raptors, and David's going to show us and talk about them a little bit. As you see, this is Raptor number 1, 2, and 3 right there. Dave, if you could just give us a little info about these guys.
Sure. This first one is Velociraptor. Everybody knows about Velociraptor, but a lot of people don't know what it looked like. So this is an accurate representation of Velociraptor, and this is kind of where it all started. And he is based off of a bearded vulture color scheme. And this one is the second raptor. This is Velociraptor, and that is the second raptor on the Kickstarter. This one was what a lot of people refer to as the feathered Jurassic Park raptor because of the deep skull. This one actually did rely more on its bite than its claws, so it has a very developed skull and jaw muscle structure. And those colors are based off of a parrot. I remember the name of, and if I tried to say it, it'd probably sound wrong. But each one of these color schemes for every raptor is based off of some sort of actual bird, just to bring it all back to relating to the birds. And then this third one here is Sargan, and this one was similar to Velociraptor, lived in a similar environment with the deserts, but the skull structure was different, the neck attachments were different, and actually shares some skull structures that are similar to pteranodons. And this one the colors are based on the Egyptian vulture. So that's the third one, and there will be plenty more to come.
All right, so here is one of his desks with, obviously we see pictures here and pieces. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of making these killer animals?
Yeah, sure. Well, what I have here are some resin castings. You'll see I have this is the Velociraptor head without any pieces attached to it. I also have here the Sargan head and a casting of the Velociraptor head. And I have these here just as comparisons. Whenever I make a new raptor head, I like to have the other heads that I've done around just so I can make sure that everything has its own personality and its own look to it. And then over here is my reference that I'm using. Sauronitholestes is what I'm working on right now. And there isn't a whole lot for it, but this is, this is kind of my sheet, my skeletal sheet for the various raptors. And this is the package art by Jonathan Quo. And what we've been doing is, I'll start off by doing these painted concepts for the action figures. And if you're paying attention, if you watch this far into the video, you'll see what the second stretch goal is. So good for you. So this is where I start, and then I send that to Jonathan with reference for what bird I'm basing it on. So in this case, it's the secretary bird. So what he does is he gives me some beautiful artwork for the packaging like this, and now I'm sculpting the unique parts for the Sauronitholestes over here. So what I'm doing is I'm working on top of an existing Velociraptor head, what I did was I dremeled off all the details, but I wanted to make sure it was a similar size. I wanted to make sure that the proportions were the same. So I'm working on top of it with castelline clay, and I'm sculpting in the brand new head right now. And as you can see, they're going to be very different. And they're raptors, but they're also going to be very different. And this one will have a unique crest, which will be rubber on the final version, and it'll look more like feathers when I'm done, obviously. Um, I've begun working on the primaries. It's going to have shorter primaries on this one, and the thighs are going to be a little bit different. It'll be a little bit meatier, just a tiny bit shorter, and probably a little more feathery. And the tail I haven't gotten to, but I'm going to adjust the tail and make this one have a much longer, fluffier tail. And again, with the collar, I dremeled off all the details. I'm going to sculpt on top of that, make a unique collar for this one as well. So between all the new pieces and the new paint job, you're going to get something that looks very distinct from the other ones. And that's pretty much how these are done.
And this is the second stretch goal?
This is the first stretch goal.
This is the first stretch goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you were paying attention, somewhere in here,
somewhere
in here, we have an exclusive first look at our second stretch goal.
I'm not going to point it out.
And these are, you said for this raptor, this is what the coloring is based on.
That's the color reference for this particular one. And the way I would choose the birds is that I would find the bird that lived in a similar environment to where these particular dinosaurs live. For example, with the Velociraptor, I chose a bird that lives in more arid environments, and with this one, I chose a bird that lives in more marshy environments, so that the coloring kind of makes sense with their adaptations for the environment. So that's a little more about Beasts of the Mesozoic. For those that are following me or have contributed to Kickstarter so far, I really appreciate all the backers and all your support. I mean, it's really a lot bigger than I expected, and I can't even put into words how I feel about it. I mean, it's just crazy. I really appreciate the support. We still have a long ways to go relatively, especially if you want to reach all the stretch goals. So if you guys are thinking of backing it, I would say earlier than later is better. It doesn't take out to the end either way. So if you're on board, then get on board now. So that's the Kickstarter. Check it out if you haven't already. If you have, be sure to keep spreading the word about it, because you can't have enough people backing it, really. And for those guys out there that are like, hey, I really like your dinosaur sculpts, but I'm not an action figure guy, I really just want to build one and paint one. Good news, I'm also going to be doing posed model kit versions of each one of these Raptors that will not have to have a Kickstarter. Those will be available on my website along with all my other model kits. That is creativebeast.com, creative-beast.com. You'll find all the model kits that I have available right now, and that's also where these other Raptor model kits will end up. Those won't go up till later in the year, because right now I'm focusing on the action figures. But I'm not leaving anybody out. Whoever loves Raptors, whoever loves dinosaurs, I want to make sure to reach all of you. So thank you for your support, and keep watching that Kickstarter. Thanks.